made a lot of great getaways to Michigan's other Great Lakes, highlighting fishing, golf, boating, and many other family vacation activities. Our latest visit there brought us out to the miles and miles of trails crisscrossing Roscommon County. Some of the trails provide physical fitness, others challenge our courage and stamina, and many of them preserve the natural wonders of the area. We will start our adventure on the groomed ORV Trails, routes, and roads in St. Helen, a premier staging area for motorsports. Exit 222 off of I-75 brings you to St. Helen. There is a highway sign that promises fun for all at exit 222, and there's no shortage of fun on its 60 miles of trails. Join Ray and I in learning about the St. Helen Dirt Packers and their role in making this one of the state's best areas to ride. Now, this is really a special area that we've been in today. Can you tell us a little bit about it? How many miles of trail? What kind of trails to see?
The miles of trails is just, I don't even know if anybody really has an actual number. I would say we got well close to 300 miles of trails that you actually, within this immediate area, that you can actually access. Now, what we were on most of the time today when we were on the trail is what we call the designated route, which is an actual, during the winter, it's a snowmobile trail.
Okay.
Now, one of the things that we cooperate with the DNR with is the DNR actually gave us a grant to maintain these trails through the summer so that they're nice and smooth. So every other week, we actually run through the trails with a groomer and groom up all the ups and downs and things like that that come through the use. And it just really works out quite well.
The Department of Natural Resources has published a handbook on Michigan's off-road vehicle laws and safety advice. The free booklet is available at Spicer's Boat City in Houghton Lake and at the Sheriff's Department. ORV riders must stay on designated trails when in the woods and not on state land close to ORVs. Most of the terrain is flat and sandy, but there's a small play area with moderate hills and some great climbing. We're on the trail out here. We're in kind of a unique area right now. I'm with Kathleen and Eric. This is something they've just gotten into. What, in the last couple of years, isn't it?
Yes, we just bought our property up here in the past few years. We've actually been coming out here, making day trips from our home downstate for the past, probably 13 to 15 years. A couple middle-aged adrenaline junkies out here just having fun.
Having fun. Kathleen, how long have you been doing this?
I've been riding ATVs and quads my whole life. My parents have a place in Harrison, and I grew up riding three-wheelers at an old gravel pit there and snowmobiles, and was riding quads my whole life.
This is a nice buggy you've got here.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit about it? You know, why it's so special?
Well, this is a 2014 Polaris RZR XP1000. It was the first year for the RZRs, and this is kind of a limited production color run. They call it the Black Pearl Edition. We've got a lot of creature comforts in here. One of them is Sirius satellite radio, so we can cruise the trails. We have yet to be stuck anywhere that we've ever gone. We absolutely enjoy it.
One of the attractions for the hardcore four-wheel drive enthusiasts is the challenge of the 6 rock crawl courses constructed by the Michigan Department of Natural Resources in 2010. Designed for standard 4x4 pickups and street-legal Jeeps, it takes a lot of skill, patience, and often gloating to try the challenging course. We're out here on the trail right now. When we're at the rock climb, this is a fairly new piece that they've got out here, and it's a little bit hard to negotiate. Now, you have just gone up there and run through this. Tell us a little bit about it and how long it's been here.
Well, we first stumbled across it back in April when there was still snow on the ground with the Wicked Jeeps group. And quite honestly, up until yesterday, although I've seen it about 10 times, I was too chicken to try it.
Well, what's the key to getting through something like this?
Well, the absolute key is an experienced spotter. And I would never attempt it without someone like Pete walking me through it.
Pete, what do you have to do? What do you got to make sure of out here?
Make sure he doesn't get hung up on the rocks, his tires are hitting the right spots. We want to get over the obstacle without getting damaged. That's our biggest goal, really. So if I was behind the wheel, I'd want someone helping me, telling me which way to turn my tires to get up on top of the biggest rocks or miss the biggest rocks. That's why we go slow.
Okay. We don't want to wreck the vehicle, right?
Correct.
The rule in a Jeep is as slow as you can, but as fast as you need to.
Tell us a little bit more about the trail that we're on. Is it hard to get out to? What kind of vehicles will come out here? And
Some time ago, I'm going to say roughly 10 years ago, town of St. Helen and the Dirt Packers and Snow Packers opened it up to ORV use. There's all different types of ORVs, from the dirt bikes to the street legal enduro style bikes, and then of course quads, now side-by-sides, and then the Jeeps. There's so many trails out here. The area we're in is 1,280 acres, I think it is, of the rec area itself. There's so many mixtures of trails, from big vehicles to the smallest vehicles all have their own types of trails to use, but then we all share the bigger ones. And then you get outside of there, and by gosh, you can go anywhere, as far as I know, at least down to West Branch, all the way up to the Mackinac Bridge and Alpena and all over legally, if you follow the right trail.
whether you bring your ORV, ATV, or off-road motorcycle, you can make your ride as simple or as difficult as you like. The well-signed trail system could take you all the way to Harrison or Prudenville and beyond, as it connects to more than 200 miles of groomed trails in Roscommon County. The St. Helen community welcomes and offers many amenities to trail riders. The town is open to all vehicles, and there are plenty of gas stations and restaurants to keep your vehicle full and your thirst quenched. From the sounds of a throttling engine to the nearly utter silence, we head for a totally different trail experience as we hike the Lost Twin Lakes Trail. When you ask locals how to get to the Lost Twin Lakes Trail, they say turn south off of M55 where the old McDonald's used to be and take the road until the pavement ends and continue on for a ways, keeping to the right of the winding dirt road until you find the parking area. That just highlights how obscure and remote the trail is. We're just outside of Houghton Lake right now. We're at the Lost Twin Lakes Trail. It's about a 3-mile trail. Usually takes about an hour to an hour and a half to walk around it. There are some hills out here. It's out in the middle of nowhere, as you can probably tell by looking around. We're going to go up a hill, and we're going to overlook a swampy area, the confluence of 3 rivers that come through this way. And then we're going to circle back around, drop down, and go through kind of a swampy area, and then come back out to the beginning. Great place to come out here if you just want to get away from things and take a nice little hike through the woods. The trail is part of the Osable River State Forest, and the trailhead is south of Houghton Lake along Reserve Road. It is an ideal trail for those who like to hike in the woods. A lot of pine trees. That's most of what we're in right now. Whole forest full of them. Now there are some old growth out here too. I know we passed a tree back down there, a big hemlock. I think, if I remember this trail correctly, I think we're going to be finding some later as we go along, some of the old growth that's out here. Beautiful to look at those trees because they're so huge, but it's pretty thick through here. This is a nice, give you an idea here, the trail itself. You see a blue blaze on the tree. This particular trail shouldn't be too hard to follow. It only goes in a single loop. We're going to follow it, and we'll cross a bridge, and then we head up a hill and around and down again into a lowland area. But we've always got these to let us know where we're at. In 1999, Scout Troop 944 turned the trail into an Eagle Scout project and constructed a series of boardwalks and bridges that carry you over the ridges, sinkholes, wetlands, and swamps as you enjoy the rustling sound of the forest. And yes, the Twin Lakes really appear to be lost. This is some of the old growth forest that's up in front of me. There's a red pine here. You can see the size of it. It's huge. And you'll find these that the loggers have skipped over and left a few sitting here. But you're going to find them through here. There's another one over here, so just full of it. There are many forested trails in Roscommon County. Our next hike took us to the Red Pines Nature Area Pathway, located in Roscommon County, just 8 miles north of St. Allen via F97 and Sunset Road. The 1.5-mile interpretive foot trail is open for hikers and bikers and offers benches to take a rest or listen to the birds and woodpeckers that call the Osable State Forest home. Hiking with me is Adele Waskobojnik, Administrative Assistant for the Houghton Lake Area Tourism Bureau, and Ed Bergeron, President of the St. Helen Downtown Development Authority. both who enjoy the natural hiking areas around Roscommon County and encountering whatever wildlife is found there. We've got the perfect day to be out here hiking. It's overcast, it's a little bit chilly. That's great for hiking because when you get on the trails, it can get kind of warm out there, and this just makes it nice. And normally, you're out here by yourself. You don't get a lot of people that come out with that. Now, I'm out here today. I'm with Ed Bergeron, and Ed, maybe you can tell me a little bit about the area we're going into.
Well, this is the Red Pine Natural Pathway area. It's kind of reminiscent of the way the forests were in Michigan in the late 1700s. You've got red pine, white pine, jack pine, variety of hardwoods. So it kind of takes you back to the way Michigan was before the lumber era.
Okay, and are we going to see big trees too?
You're going to see some pretty big trees back in there. We may see some wildlife as well, some raptors. It's an interesting place.
Okay, how long is the trail itself?
About a mile and a half in a loop, okay. So you can wander through the forest and then come back and don't have to worry about getting lost.
Okay, that's a good one. Good one for the family too, because it's not too long. And they get to go out and
oh, absolutely.
See all kinds of nice things. So.
We've been out here many times with the kids and grandparents. It's a wonderful little outing.
All right, well, let's go ahead. You ready, Adele?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. I assume this is an interpretive trail then?
It is, it is.
These signs?
It is. These little displays along the way help people understand what they're seeing, and they can learn about the forest and the ecology and the changes that are happening constantly every year in any forest, this one in particular.
This is an important hike for naturalists to take and study not only the flora, but the fauna of the forest. And it is not only naturalists who are drawn to this interpretive trail, but so are Bigfoot seekers. Many stories abound down to this day, but a memorable one comes from a hunter who tells the tale of how he, on a cloudy opening day of rifle season in 1968, while hunting the St. Helen area, heard a loud crashing in the woods coming toward him. He squatted down in the branches and noticed an awful odor coming from the area of the noise. He reported a big white furry leg stepped into the same row he was. It was huge and he didn't know what it was. After 10 minutes, it went on its way, and when he couldn't hear it anymore, he ran back to the car and waited for the others to come back. It was a story he didn't tell for many years, but it is one that keeps your senses heightened as you walk through the majestic woods, listening for wildlife that may be watching you. Well, you know, looking out here, there just has to be all kinds of animals and things that live out here.
I know, and I'm glad we've got our cameras because, you know, there's been reports of Bigfoot residing in Roscommon County. They even came and did a television show here about all the people that have seen it. So maybe some of these trees that are down, or, you know, some of the ones that are bent, maybe this is where he resides.
That could be. I'm telling you what, when you're out here, keep your eyes and your ears open and bring your camera along. You never know what you're going to see.
Trees like this that provide canopy and shade, and that's good for certain wildlife and maybe not so good for others depending on their needs, but they're just majestic.
And you know, some of these are growing up to 100 feet or above. They're some of these are over 200 years old. So when you come out here, you know, respect what you see because they've been around a lot longer than the rest of us.
No, absolutely, and they're going to be there when we're gone if we're fortunate.
Yep. You know, you're walking along the trail, and it isn't odd to come across something like this. This is some rock that's sticking out of the trail. But this particular one actually came from Canada. Now, what happened was when the glaciers came down some 10,000 years ago, came down this way, brought this rock with it, and when the glaciers then melted, it left the rock as a deposit here and moved back north. So it actually came out of Canada some 10,000 years ago. Kind of interesting. When you're walking along, you think you're just on a normal rock, but this one here came from a long way off. We were talking about some of the big trees in the area, and we got a grouping here. These are red pines, and as you can see, they've been here a long time. They go way up there. It's just amazing how big some of these are. And you get the trunk is just huge on them. You get up and stand next to them, you can really tell.
Well, Tom, I didn't know if you knew this area is prone to forest fires, and that's part of what makes this stand of tall pines so special. The jack pines are real vulnerable to lightning strikes. And so we have forest fires in the area. But the good news is that the forest fires help create habitat for special birds and critters like the Kirtland warbler. You can see how the wind has blown down some trees just recently and knocked over some of this new growth. And you know, it's things like this that make trails like this so interesting.
It really is.
You never know what you're going to find as you come around the corner, and if you stop and think, now I wonder why that's there the way it is, you can kind of surmise the type of weather that must have caused those trees to fall, ice storm, wind, whatever.
It's like you're coming out and there's sculptures everywhere.
Absolutely, it's just never-ending beauty.
Yeah, and I think next time I come, I'm going to bring a pocket-sized field guide to identify some of these. There's such a variety of tree and plant life back here.
That'd be a good way to do it. That's an excellent idea. As we stand here right now, the nice thing about an interpretive trail is when you come across something like this, there's a sign here to tell you a little bit about it and give you some information. We have both the red and a white pine here. The red pine you can kind of tell because it's got a reddish tint to it. The white pine, not so much this one, but normally you can tell if it's a white pine too, because it'll show that way. But other things too, the needles, the way the needles form on it, the way the pine cones form on it, they're different. Each one has its own distinct pine cone and needles, so there are different ways to tell. But this gives you a good idea of how to tell the difference. Well, I picked up a couple of pine cones, and I mentioned that there were differences between them. This one that I'm holding in my right hand here is a white pine. You notice that it's longer, kind of narrow, where on the red pine they're short and squatty. So that's one of the ways you can tell as you look at the trees what kind of pine cones they have. Will tell you what kind of tree it is. As you would suspect, Houghton Lake has a water trail to go along with its other trail. It's called the Blue Water Trail. I wanted to learn more about this trail, and I met with Pat Inman to fill me in. Pat, you've initiated some of this trail system that's going on. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about how it got started and what's coming for the future.
Okay, about 3 years ago, the health department was offering grants for healthy activities, and we worked with the other townships in our area to talk about bike and hiking trails. In the process, the thought came about for kayaking canoe trails. And we've worked with Denton Township now and their park board and Friends of Trestle Park, and we've marked several areas on the water with signage for the Houghton Lake Blue Water Trail. There are about 8 markers on the lake at the current time. The other townships will join in the program as they get areas committed that these are safe harbors, safe launch points, restaurant, picnic facilities, restrooms, right. Which is an important thing when you're on the water.
Absolutely.
So that's what the trail is marking. Eventually, we will have signage all the way around the lake and hope to have mileage markers so that if I put over here at marker 4 and paddle for a ways and get out and find out I've gone 6 miles, I, as Frank said, put in a lot of time, especially as a novice. But that's the plan for the trail, and we have lots of streams and creeks and rivers that go off and into Houghton Lake. So there's plenty of kayak experience here and canoe.
Okay. I know one of the things I've liked about what you've got up here so far is the fact that you can go you don't really have to go a long distance before you hit one of these areas that you can stop, do a picnic, use a restroom, whatever you need. Or if it is, Houghton Lake is known, it can get windy in a hurry, and if you don't want to get above your experience when you're out there, and it gives you a place to get back out again.
Yes, absolutely. Right now we have 8 miles of trail kind of marked, but we do have 2 or 3 other spots throughout the lake that the DNR has worked with us and put signage up. So it's a trail in progress.
Okay, well that's good. That's a nice way to see the lake, and with everybody now, it seems like it's getting into kayaking so much that, and canoes too, as far as that goes. We've been talking kayaks, but canoes are good out there too.
And it's a collaborative effort of the 4 townships that surround the lake, and it's good to see all the communities working together for the same goal and for the health and entertainment and recreation of our community.
If you want to get out, you want to do a little kayaking, up here to Houghton Lake, it's such a great place for a vacation. Come up here, do a little kayaking with the family, have some fun. They got some great trails here. You won't be disappointed. If you want to keep your exercise routine going while you're on vacation at Michigan's other Great Lakes, check out all the fitness trails built in many of the township parks, like the fitness trail that is located at Skinner Park. It is accessible from the Roscommon Township Hall parking lot on Knapp Road in Houghton Lake. On our visit there, we encountered Brian Popey and Noel, Joe, and Sophia Conkey, ready for some fitness fun on the trail and playing a competitive game of disc golf. They seem to know this trail well. They explain the regimen of this unique workout.
It's got 9 different obstacles: push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups. It's a 3/4 of a mile trail. It's a good workout, all-body workout. We run between each obstacle. They have separate levels of intensity of each workout, so each stage of the 9 stages, each has 3 different categories that you could possibly do. Being easy, just a couple push-ups, medium, a lot more push-ups, or hard, most push-ups.
It's challenging. So it has the different levels on the boards at each workout station. So that
depending on what kind of endurance you want, if you want to keep like cardio and you got to keep your heart pumping the whole time, then you get a better exercise.
Take your time, take it easy. It'll go good.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy it. There's no need to rush. It's open until dusk.
Run, stop, stretch. Every stop has a unique set of workouts. Something I might try. Maybe. Fitness not only comes from exercise, but from play, as the Skinner Park Trail includes disc golf. The sport of disc golf evolved as an offshoot of the mini games spawned by the Frisbee craze. The game started with people using Frisbees and aiming at targets made up of trees, trash cans, light poles, pipes, and whatever else was handy. According to the disc golf website, it is today's fastest growing sport. Not sure about that, but it looks like a lot of fun, and Roscommon County has a perfect spot for it, the Roscommon County Township Park. The new disc golf course is a well-designed 9-hole course set back in the woods adjacent to the baseball and soccer fields. The course is short, mostly par 3s, but you'll find it to be extremely challenging with lots of difficult shots through the dense trees. You probably won't score par on this course, but you'll have a great time trying. Young folks playing here are extremely serious about this sport, with multiple bags of equipment and different Frisbees for different strategies. Looks like something worth trying. You know, I wonder if the dogs interfere with this game. The trails of Roscommon County are open for everyone and offer you a special connection with nature and your friends. Exhilarating rides, thoughtful contemplation, and good mental and physical exercise can be found on the trails of Michigan's other Great Lakes. Post pictures of you and your family and friends enjoying the natural beauty of the trails to our Facebook page. You can request more information and a free DVD of this week's show on the locations and amenities by following the information on your screen. Gary Snyder, author of Practice of the Wild, said nature is not a place to visit, it's a home. I personally love to come home to Roscommon County and hope you'll join me on its trails on your next great getaway.